you'll probably you said discipline was for movement. Is that what you said?
So far, right now, it's looking like the discipline is going to be required for movement and defensive abilities.
So you'll probably be what it sounds like is building up your hatred while you're using your discipline kiting, and then getting a good sort of hatred burst when it's full, or managing your hatred by placing traps every now and then, and maybe shooting like a they have a certain move, cluster arrow, kiting, trapping, placing traps, then shooting a cluster arrow. I feel like that'll be like a standard thing to do.
By the way, looking at the passive skills here, it looks like you're going to want to use Entangling Shot as an offensive ability, because when you use it, or when you use things that can slow targets, you do more damage by 20%. So passive skills, very interesting here.
So in an interview with GameSpot.com, one of the game designers, Jason Bender of Blizzard, actually kind of explained a little bit the hatred and discipline system. He says that the resources and the skill trees are split up into categories of discipline, which include traps and preparation type spells, and the hatred, which include high burst attacks, alpha strikes, multi-shots, and flame arrows. He says some abilities use hatred, some use discipline. That's where they're at in the development right now. But they want to make sure that you're always bouncing back and forth between the two without having to switch a stance or something cumbersome. So you have abilities from both camps accessible at all times. Some demon hunters may focus to build on hatred with lots of shooting and moving around and try to amp up that burst as much as possible, while some may focus on discipline and defensive play. Either way, the default is going to be a little bit of both. So it's going to be really interesting, I think, to see how many people go hatred and try to just burst people down, and that's going to be a lot of the shots and high burst spells like grenades, bullet shot, and cluster arrow, or defensive, which is the trap with the discipline, with traps and movement.
Right. It depends, though, because if a demon hunter has a barbarian friend, he's going to want to play as discipline. And if he has a wizard friend, he's going to want to play hatred, because the wizard's has a higher tendency to burst, whereas the barb is going to have to kite and hit at the right time, but it's going to have to take a lot of hits, I think, at first. So depends what you play with.
I can already tell you right now. Am I mute? What about one?
Oh. Go for it, GreenHeat.
I'll go for it. Thanks, Tainted. I can already tell you right now that from my point of view, I think that Sentry is the way to go. Depending on how good Sentry is, what I would do would be place it on the ground and use my skills to defend it. Keep that guy trying to take on the Sentry, and if he doesn't want to go for the Sentry, he'll go for me, in which case I'll just kite and let my Sentry do the damage. So that's like a win-win. So either he attacks the Sentry to kill it quickly, and then you can kill him completely unabated and not take any damage, or he'll go for you and your Sentry will do the damage and you can just run away.
So I really like your idea. That's a good point. Let me just explain what Sentry is for people who might not be aware. According to the wiki page again, the Sentry is a spell that creates a mechanical turret that fires arrows at enemies, and it says that it works a lot like the Hydra spell. Now that can be a pretty big thing. If that has like just a duration and you can't kill it, that could be huge. Or if you have to kill it, or otherwise it keeps shooting at you, that's huge as well.
I bet if it's anything like Hydra, it's going to be a timed thing, and I think your best bet is going to be balancing where your traps are going to be set and where you're setting your Sentry, and how you're going to kite your enemy so that he takes the most damage from both. Whether it be having the Sentry constantly hitting him as he walks into your traps, you know what I mean? So I think that's why Demon Hunter is going to have to learn how to kite very well.
It's looking like Demon Hunter is going to be kind of like a map control class, and that could be really fun. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, trying to become as good at controlling the entire map as possible with the various traps and vault and whatnot. But Keizo, you brought up the idea of Demon Hunter having a barbarian as a 2v2 partner or a wizard. I want to go around the panel and ask each one of you which class do you think will become the best partner for a Demon Hunter in the 2v2? Keizo, which one do you think will be best?
Wizard, only because bursty combos are easier to play, I should say. That's it.
That's it? You're going right for the burst. Just blow somebody up? You think that's the best strategy?
It's overall easier. Because it's easier, more people will do it. So that's it. Simple.
Nuaris?
Well, I was gonna say mage too, but then I was thinking when you were mentioning that you could either be more defensive or more burst, keep in mind that this arena style isn't it's not last man standing, it's team deathmatch. Do you think that survivability will be better or burst will be better because it's completely different? Do you know what I mean? You might say burst might be great because you can just rack up the kills, but if you're a burst team and you're playing a defensive team, then it might be very hard to kill them, and they might be able to just rip through you since you probably have less defenses.
True, but you also got to take into effect the power-ups. If you're two classes that can teleport, essentially, to the power-ups and get your health right back up, you'll basically be able to reset the fight every time and then just eventually land a nice burst because you also have to aim everything. Don't forget that. This is not WoW where you just tab target and automatically hit. You have to aim everything, so essentially you might be able to 2 or 3 shot from each of you to kill one guy really quick. That's part of it.
Yeah, Keizo, the two examples you brought up at the beginning were Barbarian and Wizard. Now those 3 classes, Demon Hunter, Barbarian, and Wizard, are the 3 classes of the 5 that have those movement abilities like Leap, Teleport, and Vault. So there can be a lot of interplay with map control between those 3 classes. So, Keizo, you think Wizard, Nuaris, what was your choice for the best Demon Hunter partner?
Well, I'll say Wizard too, only because they are OP. They're probably gonna have the best utility and the best burst type spells.
Okay, GreenHeat, what do you think will be the best partner for a Demon Hunter in 2v2?
It's at this point, it's a very tough decision, but I think overall, it's going to be much more common to have good Wizard Demon Hunter teams. So I'd go with Wizard overall. However, I still think that a good disciplined Demon Hunter who plays defensive with the Sentry Trap combos can couple with a Witch Doctor and be the best.
Yeah, I think
so
that's a good
Witch
point.
Doctor,
Why do you say
Hunter
Witch Doctor?
Just play a super defensive game. Witch Doctor uses his undead minions, I guess, just distract them from the Sentry, distract them from the Demon Hunter. Just use all these things to keep them back and just play really defensive. So I think it can be best. However, I still think overall it's just going to be easier to do better with a sorceress wizard partner.
Right. I think Manny was correct in saying that a burst team like that with a mage might be able to control the map better because they can vault, teleport all over the place. But I like Bob's combo because if you have a defensive Demon Hunter and I'm not sure that much about Witch Doctor right now, but if he can, I'm sure they're like the Necro where they had curses and they have a lot of utility like that. I feel like you could probably control the map a little better than 2 burst classes blinking around. Especially if you have a lot of pets, if the sentry is unkillable, if your pets are timed and don't have HP, I think it might be easier to outlast a burst and maybe kill them a little bit more easily than they can kill you.
Oh, sorry about that. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out when D3 goes live. This is going to be a big question. It's going to be a big part of the metagame in PvP. Do you want to play defensive or do you want to play bursty and offensive? If it's a team deathmatch where you constantly respawn, is it better to say, you know what, screw defense. I'm going to kill this guy so many times that he might be able to out-tank me a few times, but eventually I'm just going to burst him down so many times? Or will it be better to constantly go defensive and make the overall score a low-scoring game? So it's going to be really interesting to see how that whole thing works out when D3 goes live. It's going to be fun. But I would like to ask all of our listeners a question. I've already posed it to our panelists. Which class do you think will best partner with the Demon Hunter in 2v2 arenas? So what you have to do here, this is how you're going to win the authenticator. Sign up on our forums, d3combat.com, click on the forums tab, sign up, register, or go right to d3combat.proboards.com. You want to go to the podcast threads, find podcast number 2, and write your answer in the podcast number 2 thread. The question is, which class will be the best partner for Demon Hunter in 2v2? Now, the panelists and the staff members at D3 Combat are going to go over all of the responses, and whatever is the most well-written and thoughtful response, we're going to award you with a lovely security system for your new BNet account, the Authenticator. So if you're not already signed up on the forums, make sure you are so you can give your response. Please follow us on Twitter at D3 Combat. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, D3 Combat. Search us on Facebook, d3combat.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. We look forward to reading all of your responses. By the way, the deadline is gonna be this Friday. That is August 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's your deadline for submissions for this contest. So please, guys, get those in. We look forward to reading them. Please follow us on all the social networking sites, and I look forward to your feedback. Thank you guys for listening. It's been a good night. So I think one important part of account security is gonna be the little snappy, snazzy Blizzard Battle.net authenticator.
I was waiting.
As our very first contest, we are giving away to one lucky listener a Battle.net
Footnote to that: it can't be carbohydrate or jackfruit. Sorry, guys.
No, it's not gonna. Yeah, we're gonna break after this, but we need to rewind so I can
Do that.
So I can not stop 100 times. I don't know where I left off.